What's going on, guys? No, just checking in. Thank you for clicking on this video, joining me for a serious topic. A topic that, to this day, is kind of hard for me to talk about, which is forgiving friends and family for how they treated you when you were severely depressed and anxious, whatever your mood disorder. We're going to talk about forgiveness and how people respond in your life to those circumstances, particularly the people that didn't respond in the way that maybe you really needed them or wanted them to at the time. I want to be really clear, really clear that this is not an attack on anyone at all. I've learned so much about this over time, and I've broadened my horizons, and I've come to a greater sense of peace and acceptance over others and stigma and reactions to severe trauma of mood disorder and how it affects everybody, not just the person who is specifically suffering from the mood disorder. But I think this topic affects a lot of us who have been through mood disorders. I imagine it affects every one of us, because when you get severely depressed like I got back in May of 2011, suicidal, hopeless, anxious, depersonalized, and beside myself, unrecognizable to the person prior to my breakdown, it's very hard to predict how people are going to respond. And it's nearly impossible for everyone to respond just like it would be best for you, for them to respond. This topic plays into such a bigger picture of stigma, prejudice, learned behaviors towards those that struggle with mood disorders, misunderstandings, poor information, lack of empathy, lack of experience. But I think the foundation to this whole video, it simply relies upon the fact that when someone gets very terribly depressed or anxious, clinically major depression, very few people in your immediate circle in that person's life are prepared for what's going to happen next, and they are prepared for their role in helping that person, said person who's sick, who's depressed, get better. And a lot of people can't handle it. And that was my experience, is that I went from being one way to being completely different. And many people in my life, they never could have been ready for what happened to me, what that would mean for them, and the pressure they would feel, and the burden that I would become, and how hard that would be for them. And so, like many people, I felt very abandoned and mistreated in many respects by close friends and family, brothers, best friends, and at times even the people that were there for me most made me feel very abandoned, because they got caregiver burnout, is what it's called, where even they couldn't handle me anymore. And they said some things that I know they regret, and they behaved in ways that I know they felt bad about, but they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do, because when someone you've always known to be one way is suddenly completely different, and agonizingly suicidal and depressed, oh man, you don't know how to handle them. It's really hard. And I judged my fiance, I judged my parents, I judged my close friends so bad back then, because I remember thinking, if they knew what I was going through, if they truly understood what I was going through, they would do and say nothing that could upset me or make things worse, because they would fully understand how delicate, how dangerous, and how severe the situation was. But prior to my depression, prior to my anxiety, prior to my suicidal, my catapult into suicidal feelings, I never knew something like that was possible. And that's what I have later since understood about all of these people in my life who love me the most and who care about me, but many of which who struggle to be there. You never really know something like that, a darkness in that sort of way exists, until it happens. And so you're learning on the fly, and that's what a lot of people in my life had to do. They had to learn on the job how to deal with a severely depressed person, someone who's constantly talking about killing themselves, who's just obnoxiously hopeless all the time, and who was treatment resistant, so it lasted a long time. And like I said, most of my closest friends and family, they didn't know what to do, but other people randomly just stepped up And so while some people really disappointed me, other people came through with flying colors, like out of the woodworks, and could handle me and supported me and loved me, and they took turns taking care of me, and they just handled it better than others. Some people handle it better than other people. And it's so hard not to take it personal when someone you feel like should just understand and should just be able to fix you and help you, when they don't understand and they can't fix you and they can't help you. And they can barely help themselves, and so they sort of have to create boundaries and distance from you. So I had certain friends, close friends that if I ever were to imagine a situation like this happening, I would have been like, oh, those are the people that will be right by my side if something like that happened, and they were gone. They weren't there. They never reached out. They never called. They never came to see me. And I remember how hard that was, because I remember thinking, if I die tonight, if I take my life tonight, like I thought I would so many nights for so many months, crept into years, they will never have known how desperately I was suffering, and how severe and how delicate my whole thing was. They will wake up they'd wake up the next day, found out I died, and they heard I was depressed. They knew I was not doing well, but they avoided me, and they didn't reach out and support me, and maybe they didn't know how. And I remember thinking, man, if I died, they would never know. And so I held on to a lot of that anger and resentment. And depressed people, anxious people, we are inherently selfish because we can't see past our own suffering. And so I was so incredibly selfish at that time when it came to what I was going through. And I never once considered how my depression was affecting other people. I was just in such a severe state that I just wanted everyone to just fix me and help me and save me, and they couldn't. And I wanted them to save me, and they couldn't. And I got mad, and I got lonely, and I felt like I was going to die alone. And by the way, looking back in reality, the people that could be there were there. The people that didn't know how to handle it weren't there. But I don't believe that they wouldn't be there again, having learned what they later learned about depression, mood disorders, and my specific situation. Because I wasn't a great communicator. I was just in pain and suffering and agony, and that's all I was communicating. Because I barely understood what was happening to me. So I owe my life to many of my friends and family who were there. And I completely forgive the ones that weren't or couldn't be, whether it was for lack of information or fear or their personal issues. Everyone has their own life. And even though my situation was severe, it wasn't their fault. And it wasn't their job to fix me. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who did stick in there, who hung in there. Even the ones who hung in and then had to jump out, and hung in and hung out because I was so overwhelming. And again, there was so little information on how to help and what to do and how to cope. And dealing with someone who's severely depressed is so difficult. So difficult. And I didn't understand that until I got better. And so when I did start to get better, and I was able to be a better communicator, when I was able to start empathizing for other people, I realized real quick what I did to them. What I did to my fiance, what I did to my mom and dad, what I did to my brothers and sisters, the ones that were able to really be there. And I basically destroyed them. I basically destroyed them with my depression, my anxiety, and not because I meant to, not because they meant to be destroyed, but like they just couldn't handle it. It was too much, and there were so many nights that were so severe that I was pushing them to dark places, and they had to, in spurts, back away from me, even when I felt like I needed them most. But the truth is, a severely depressed person always needs someone most, at every second, every time. And so I've kind of gone on and on. I just want everyone to understand that I love and respect everyone who tried, and I forgive everyone who didn't try and couldn't try for whatever reason. Because, like I said, and I think I might wrap up on this, when I had the opportunity to finally tell these people how it felt, what I went through, what it was really like, educate them, break down some social stigmas about depression, anxiety, let them know what really happened, all of them were beside themselves and apologetic that they weren't there, and that if it ever happened again, they would do it different. And I believe them. I believe my brothers have said that, my friends. Even the people that were there, that then couldn't be there but were there because they got burned out, they apologized. And I didn't need an apology, but man, did it feel good to have them just acknowledge that I was suffering. And then it felt so good to acknowledge their feelings for once. And I think that's something that we depressed people have to understand, is that while we can't see past our suffering, when you do get better, and I have gotten so much better, you have a better understanding of how you affect other people. And I wanted to offer them my condolences and my comfort and my respect for what happened to them through my experience, and see outside myself. And in forgiving them and having them acknowledge me, we created a deeper bond. We're breaking down barriers of stigma and prejudice towards mental health and mood disorders, and we're setting ourselves up for more success in the future. And I had to let go of that anger I had for those people, friends and family, and just understand they're people too, and completely forgive them, and then talk to them and educate them. And now I know that they'll be there next time to the best of their abilities, and they better understood, because they just couldn't ever have possibly known. And I think I'm gonna leave it there and just know that it brought me a great deal of peace to let go of that and forgive them. It certainly brought me a great deal of peace to learn more about how I affected others, and not just think about how they were treating me, because I wanted them to do something they couldn't do, which is save me. All they could do is support me. They couldn't fix me or save me. And so I had unrealistic expectations because I was suffering. And we all grow and we learn. And the more experiences like that we can have, the better chances we have at keeping people that are depressed safe, and help them survive, and then help people that have to become more like caregivers than friends, fiancés, parents, brothers. You have to become more like caregivers, help them understand how to do that and how to survive someone else's depression and stay strong through it, because it takes a village. And that's what it ended up taking for me. A dark and shitty reality, though, is that some people, whether they're kin, close friend, whatever, they don't get it, and they may never get it. And those are the people you still need to forgive, maybe even the most. And then you just have to set boundaries. You just have to set boundaries so that you can't be negatively affected by the way they respond or react. I was all over the place, but that was on my heart. I wanted to share it. I hope you got something out of that. And I just hope you know this wasn't an attack on anyone. I have so much love and respect and gratitude in my heart for everyone, like I said. And I hope you, if you're struggling to forgive someone, I hope you can find it in your heart to be compassionate for them, even though you felt like they weren't being compassionate for you, and understand that unless you go through it, you can never know. And some people learn slower about what it means to be depressed, and what it means for others to be depressed, and what that reality is. And so if you let go of that hatred and that resentment in your heart, you're going to feel a burden lifted, and there's just a better chance at greater success in the future. So thank you for watching. Long video, heavy video, but I really appreciate your time. And I hope you got something out of that. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take good care of yourself.